Okay. Hello, everybody. Welcome to my next video modeling tutorial on some of my favorite characters from Bob Squarepants. I think you may have seen the first one that I did where we did Squidward's house, the Tiki Head house. Nice beginner tutorial for making relatively simple shape out of lots of basic simple shapes into something a little more complex. So today we are going to do everyone's favorite
oh brother, this guy stinks!
Sea creature with serious shortman syndrome, and that's Plankton, the owner of the chum bucket. So one of my favorite characters because he's really teeny, but he's got this huge voice, which just makes him even funnier to me. So Plankton is also a great character to get into creating or making things because he's made out of a lot of simple shapes. So one of the things I did was
2,000 years later.
So one of the things I've done with Plankton is he is basically basically a giant capsule. Like, I don't know if any of you have seen a Tylenol capsule. And so I put them all together, and then what I did was here to the right is I put down all the different geometric shapes that I used to create him. So all these shapes here I've taken, combined and put together, duplicated, cut out, subtracted to create this shape right here. And I haven't finished his antenna, but we'll get to that a little later. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to help you find these shapes, and we'll line them up, and then we'll use them to bring over to kind of block out his basic size and shape, and then we'll make something more complicated by making subtractions and combinations of different shapes, and so we can get to this lovely example of basic cartoon character design. And I just gave him some basic colors to match what we see on the TV show, and yeah, and I'm going to even try to 3D print him. So hopefully that comes out pretty good. So let's just go over the basic shapes. So I use a sphere. I use that for his eyes. I squash that for his red pupil and then the white highlight on there. I use this capsule shape to create his body. I use this shape right here, this, I forget what it is, a paraboloid. I used that, stretched it out to create his arms and legs. This cube with rounded edges I used to make his teeth. And then this cube with sharp edges, I used that up here to create his little antennae notches. Excuse me. And then this hemisphere or half a sphere I used in combination with this donut. I combined them together and I used that to create his bottom eyelid. And then this arc tube I used to create his eyebrows and his antenna. And then the top part of his antenna I used the paraboloid, this shape right here. And then for the very last piece here, this asymmetrical, that means not even on both sides, shape of his mouth, where he's kind of like a little astonished and angry. I used this special tool right here called, I believe it's this one, the extrude sketch, or it was this one, the scribble, where I drew the shape and then extruded it out, turned it into a hole by clicking on this part here, and then I subtracted it to create his mouth, and then I also did the same with his body. I duplicated his body, and I shrunk it down and cut out the inside of it, so he's hollow on the inside. And to help create his mouth shape, you can kind of see a little bit inside there.
5 minutes later.
Alright, so let's get started on this, okay? So we're going to start off by making his body. Alright, so the first thing we'll do is we'll come over here, and I have this all laid out nice and neat, and I'm selecting his capsule, the capsule shape. But I'm going to help you find all these shapes in our lovely little list of shapes over here on the right hand side. So if you're not familiar, the basic shapes are all the standard geometric shapes that you can expect to find in Tinkercad that most people are pretty familiar with. And if you need more, you can click on the More's button down here, and there you see is the paraboloid. So we can click on the paraboloid, all right, and just drag it in here and just create your little line up, all right, and have that all put away. And then the capsule. So the capsule is a more advanced shape, so we'll get to that shortly. So we want to get the sphere, so we can drag over this sphere shape here, and I just changed it to yellow to match his eye shape, and I keep that there so I can drag it over when I want to make his eyes. Then I'm going to grab this cube shape I'm going to use later for his antennae. So you can drag this over. Whoa. There we go. There we go. Got it. I just changed it to orange so it would stand out more. We'd eventually squash it into this little rectangular shape and create these little antennae notches. Then let's see, the hemisphere is right here. You can drag that over as well. And the donut shape, or the torus for those who are more technical. So you got the half sphere or hemisphere, and you got this as well, and you just have that all set on the side here so we can drag it over when we're ready. And then this piece right here, this is a bent pipe, and so that you have to come down to, I believe it's shape generators. So to get to this selection, you go up here on the upper right, click on basic shapes, and it opens up all these other shapes. And we'll click at the bottom one, shape generators. I believe it's this one. Could quite possibly be wrong. Oh, there it is right there. And you just drag, select it, and then drag it in, and then we'll make it the proper size when we get to that. So you should have all these shapes except for this one. This right up here, the straight antennae, that's just a paraboloid stretched out really far. It's this one right here. So you just rotate it and stretch it out. So you can adapt that really quick by, let's see, we'll just select it, go up here to the upper left hand corner, click duplicate, I'm going to move it up, and I'm going to select this little curved or bent arrow. I'm going to click on that and just move up here to this little notched cylinder, and that allows you to rotate it in 45-degree increments. So we're just going to rotate it around 180 degrees, and you select it, and then we're just going to stretch it out like so, and you can just click this corner vertice and you push it in like so, and then grab, you can hit the F key to actually get in closer, like so, and then I'm going to grab the top one again and just stretch it out, and see, create yourself a nice little, oop, I messed that up. So click this one there, and I'll just move that into the corner a little bit, and there we go. And if you click over here to the view cube, that lines it back up, and we can just shrink it down, and you'll have your little antennae ready to go. Okay. All right. Okay, so now you should have all your shapes lined up like I have here. I have them just outside the grid so they don't get in the way. And the first thing we're going to do is we start with the big shapes and work our way down. All right, so I'm going to click front up here in the view cube, and I'm going to select the capsule. So if you haven't turned it green yet, you just go over here, you select the solid dot and click on this green color, and that'll change it. Okay, then I am going to duplicate it, so that way in case I mess up I can come back over and get it. So you do that again, go over here to the upper left hand corner, you'll see if you put your mouse over it, it'll say duplicate and repeat. So we'll click on that, and then I'm just going to move the capsule over. So if we can see already, so there is a difference between the capsule here and the capsule that I just pulled over. So this is the one that I have right now for Plankton's body. I've kind of stretched and morphed it a bit. And how did I do that? Why did I make those choices? Well, I looked at reference. And reference is very important for any artist. You should get lots of reference. And thankfully, since Plankton is part of a very popular cartoon show, they have lots of reference of him on the internet. So I have a bunch of reference up. So I'll show you right here.
2,000 years later.
Okay, so this is what you call a character sheet. This is what we used to do back in the hand-drawn 2D animation days, where we used to draw everything with pencils and pens. Is you draw the character out into these basic shapes, so you create a blueprint on how to design the character, so you can, since you have to draw them hundreds and even thousands of times, you want to make sure that it's repetitively accurate each time you redraw him to show the movement. He can't be changing his size and scale and shape and everything every time you draw it, or you get a character that basically looks like he's morphing into something. So we create these sheets, and we get the director and the art director and the character designers. They basically do it and write and sign off on it, and we're given this, and you have to draw the character every time so it matches these designs. People put them on the internet, and here we go, we have something. So you can see right up here in the left hand corner that they said nope, he's not an oval on the right or an ellipse, is almost like a vitamin capsule. All right, almost. So he's not quite as perfectly curved like this is here. But he's a little bit stretched out, and he's basically that length. So we can use that, and I also have another one here. This is one so you can see him from front, 3/4 inside, 3/4 back, and then full back. And then I have some from over the years where he's been in different video games and where they modeled in 3D. So this was very helpful to see how they solved some problems, because most two-dimensional hand-drawn characters are kind of cheats. They're not really three-dimensional, but they try to draw them to look like they're three-dimensional. And sometimes when you cheat the character to make it feel like it's a three-dimensional character, but it's really 2D, you kind of do some things that don't work in real life. So I got some, or found some images online of how they've modeled him in 3D and see how they solved that. So you can click through it here. This one was really good. It's where I could see the basic colors and the length of the legs. They really drastically change his arms and hands. So in the main model sheet, he doesn't even have hands. It's just pointy little legs and arms. And then when they need him to have a hand, they draw him, or they create a 3D model with the hands in there. I'm going to keep it simple for the most part and follow the original design, because hands take time and they're a little complicated. So why not just stick to the simple part and keep it fun and short and sweet. Now here's another good one. So you can see his mouth, you can see his teeth, his eyes, his antennae. See roughly the length of his legs in comparison to his body. And this just makes a great image. This is a good one of his eyebrows, and that was a big thing, is finding stuff with his eyebrows. So they're like these tubes, 3 of them stacked on top of each other. I think they're supposed to represent like a thick, heavy, bushy eyebrow, which is kind of funny, and it helps to show personality and emotion by having that on there for his eye. So now you can find these just by typing in Google search Plankton, SpongeBob SquarePants. You'll find these images. They pop up pretty fast. I didn't have to spend a lot of time looking for them. And then you can just do something like, if you have a PC, there's this little snippet tool right here that I have on my little bar here, and you can click on that, and you can just draw out over your picture, and it'll save it into your pictures folder, and you can just drag them into a folder and load them up and have them on your screen ready to look at whenever you're like, I don't know, maybe it needs to be a little longer, a little shorter, because that's what I do, and you'll see me doing that a lot. So okay, so I'm going to go back now that we've found, like, okay, this is too much of a capsule on the right, so we're going to stretch that out to match more the shape that they designed in the original hand-drawn character. Okay, so I'm going to go F10, and wow, this thing is finicky. Meow. Wow, this does not want me to do that. There we go. Okay, so now I'm back in full screen, and I'm looking at it here. So I stretched him out. So I'm going to line him up with this, and then I'll just use the top cone here to line him up. So I have him roughly at 10 millimeters off the grid, this blue line here. If you want to, you can use the front designation on the view cube up here in the upper left hand corner, and you click on this cube, so it switches it to orthographic or perspective. Orthographic is nice and flat. It's good for when you're initially laying things out. And then I'm going to grab this top red vertice, and I'm going to stretch that up to right about here. And I'll just slide him over. Yeah, it looks about right. So what I have now is he's 55 millimeters tall, and he's 20 millimeters by 20 millimeters in diameter. So that's right here, and that's right here. So we look from the side. Yep, that looks pretty good. So you can just match those numbers up with what I have, and you have his body laid out like what I have. So I'm just going to give it a little space, like so. Okay. Now, the next thing we're going to do is I'm going to make his legs. So the cool thing with 3D is we just have to make his leg on one side, his arm on one side, then we can duplicate it, rotate it, and just slide it over. So it makes it a lot quicker. So I'm going to take the white paraboloid here on the right in our little toolbox of shapes. And once I select it, I'm going to go up to the upper left hand corner. I'm going to click duplicate, and I'm going to use the arrow key and slide it over. You can use the arrow keys on your keyboard to slide things over. It works really well. It doesn't do up because you have to use this, see this little arrow shape on the top? You have to use that to go up, but you can go left, right, and it's dependent contextually based on where you are on the viewport. Okay, so we see this. It's pretty skinny, so we're going to have to scale that in. So I'm going to select it, slide it over, and I'm going to use that as some visual reference. I'm going to click here in the corner, and I'm going to hold shift and push it in like so. Then I'm going to go back to the front perspective view, and then I'm going to select this top vertice, and I'm going to stretch him out. Alright, still too big, so I'm going to again select this corner vertice, and I'm going to push him in like so. Go back to the front. That looks pretty good, and I think if we just stretch it out, oh, he might actually be too skinny now, which is great. We're very close, so I'm going to pull him out by selecting the corner, and then I'll just pull it out a little bit like so, and I'll go back and look at it visually, and I think that's pretty good. Here, let's see. There's also have him at an angle there, but yep, I think that's it. So I have him at 22.37 millimeters. That's because we shrank it down so small. And then he right now is 3.51 by 3.51 millimeters. Yes. Okay. And if you're having a hard time getting it exactly, you can go over here to the right hand corner, and you'll see settings, you'll see snap grid, and you'll see it has right now, it should, if you haven't touched it yet, 1.0 millimeters. So that's right now what it moves in, what increments this grid is, and what every time you shrink it. But when you go really small, it starts to do it in decimals. So if you really need to get, you're having a hard time getting exactly at the number I have, you can click on the little arrow to the right of the 1.0 millimeter, and you can literally just, you can switch it to 0.1, and then you can like go in exactly and scale it to this very shape, 3.51 by 22.37. Okay. So now I'm going to use my arrow key, and I'm going to go back to orthographic, and I'm going to slide him over like so. And I'm going to use the arrow, the curved arrow or bent arrow. I'm going to click on it, move into this, up to this top part, so it just does it in 1 degree at a time. And I'm just going to turn, just keep it up at the top, just a little bit, 7 degrees. That looks pretty good. Okay, then I'm just gonna move him over like so. Yeah, that's about right. And then I'm gonna go from this side, and I'm going to use my arrow key like so and move him to the middle. Alright, and then I'm going to go back up here, get it back into orthographic. I'm going to select his leg, and I'm going to duplicate that again, and then I'm going to move it up, and I'll use the arrow key and slide him out. to make his arm. I'm going to move it up a little higher. Yeah, roughly that. And then I'm going to select or click on the bent arrow here to rotate it. I'm going to go up to the top part so it's just a few degrees like that, and maybe move it in a little bit like so. That might be a little too much. So I can just click the arrow, go up to the top, and I could just rotate it just a little bit. There we go. There. So we have his body, we have his right leg and his right arm. And this is the magic of 3D right here. So first, let's turn it green. Click on the white the white solid up here. Click on the green color. Do the same for his arm. Like so. Then I'm going to click duplicate again up here in the left corner after I selected the leg. Okay, and then I'm going to use the arrow key and click it over, but we want to rotate it around because we want it to be slightly apart, like he's standing up. So you can go to the top, and I'm going to just click on the top, and I'm going to use the arrow, the bent arrow again, and this time I'm going to use the increments of 45 degrees, and I'm going to go around to 180 degrees like so. Then I'm going to go back and look at that. It's like magic, huh? And you might want to just tweak it, just move him over a little bit. That looks a little better. And then we'll do the same with his arm. So go up here to the top left hand corner, you click duplicate, and I'm going to go to the top view, and I'm going to use the arrow key and just move it over. And then I am going to use the bent arrow to rotate it. And again, at 45 degree increments, so I'm using this inner tick here and get it right there. And then I'll go back to front, and I'll use the arrow key. Oop, a little too much. And there you go. We have Plankton's body blocked out. Not bad. Almost there with all the big stuff. So we're going to go now, we're going to do his eyeball. That's the next big thing on his body. So I'm going to duplicate this yellow sphere. Click on that. I'm going to move it up like so. And I'm going to move it over like so. And if I really want to cheat, since I already blocked it out, I'm just going to click and say, oh, he's 25. I stretched it out 25 millimeters. And I think I kept it at 14. So let's see. Okay, so we'll shrink it down a little bit. But first, let's do 25. So I'm going to click and drag it up 25. And then I'm going to click and move it in so it goes from 20 to 14. So I'm holding the shift key and I'm watching the number go down. There we go. And that did not that didn't match at all. Not sure why, but that's fine. Alright, so I'm gonna stretch them way up like so. I'm going to go here to the side, and then I'm going to use the arrow key and just move his eye out. And then I'll go to the front side, and I'll center it in front of him like that. Okay, so that's a little low. So we want to move it up. So again, I'm back front, orthographic And I'm going to move his eyeball up maybe a little more, like that. I think that's right. Let me move him. Should I move him in a little bit? Go to the front again. I want to make sure it's lined up about right. Yeah, that looks about right. I'm going to select his arms because they're a little high, and I'm going to use the top arrow and just move them down. Yeah, that looks about right. Okay. Okay, so we've got his eyeball. Like so. Go to the front, and I'm going to duplicate it, right? I know it's like, why is he duplicating it? I've got a method to my insanity. I'm going to move it out a little bit, right? And then I'm going to go over here, select the solid, turn it to red. Okay, and then we're going to shrink it down by selecting the corner and holding the shift key. So it's going to end up shrinking down into his eye. That's okay. We'll just use the arrow key and move it out a bit. And move it up to here, and it's still way too big, so let's shrink it down again. Check it. So I'm always checking after I shrink it. So that looks pretty good, just a little bit smaller. There we go. Yeah, that looks pretty decent. Okay. And I'll just use the arrow key like that. Looks about right. So I'm going to use the rotation key to rotate him, but I'm going to use the top part. So that'll help a little bit. Okay. And we want to get this little white highlight, and we do the same thing. So I'm selecting the red eye pupil part. I'm going to click duplicate, and I'm going to use the arrow key, move it out like so, and then I'm going to shrink it down by holding the shift key, select the corner vertice, push it in like so, and then I'm going to change it up here under solid. I'm going to change it to white. Okay, go back to the front view. And I'll use the arrow key. Oops. So when it's the increments 1 millimeter is too much, well, first let's rotate it. So I'm going to select the bent arrow. I'm going to click up to the top part and just rotate it like that. There we go. And so right now when it's the highlights like that, it actually looks like maybe he's looking to the left, or the light is shining there. So we could leave that there, or we could make it a little smaller, which I might do. There we go. I just grabbed the top and moved it down, and then I'm going to just use the arrow key. There we go. All right, so we have Plankton's body, we have his arms, and his eye. So we are definitely cruising along here. Let's probably sticking out too far, so I'm just going to select these parts here and just tap it in a little bit like so. Yeah, that looks a little better. Okay, now we're going to make his eyelid. So I'm going to make a copy of the half sphere. So I'll duplicate it and I'll move it over like so. And then I'm going to select the torus. I'm going to duplicate that again. And I'm going to slide it over like so. There we go. Okay. I'm going to hit the F key, which frames it, zooms you in. Alright, so I'm going to select both of them. And I'm going to rotate it, so I'll use increments of 45 degrees. There we go. And I'm going to move, oops, that didn't work. Undo, I have to use the arrow. There. So we want to get this exactly lined up. So what's a great way to do that? We have these really cool tools that come with Tinkercad. So if you select them both, like I did, so click away, draw out this little box marquee, and anything that's overlapping that or inside of it gets selected. And then we'll go up here to the upper right, and you're going to see this long rectangle over a shorter rectangle that's gray, and it'll pop up and say align. You click on that and you get these little alignment tools. So you want to click on this dot here and then this dot here, and there you go. It's nicely aligned. And then I'm going to select the torus, and then we're going to go over here and all these great tools to help you control how wide it is, how wide the tube is, and how many steps, which helps smooth it out. So right now we just want it a little bit wider, so I just moved it up. That's probably a little too big, but we're going to make the tube part narrower, as you can see that I have here. Okay, so I'm going to narrow that down. You can either type it in or you can slide it. I'm just trying to feel it out, so I'm going to slide it. Oop, way too skinny. Maybe just a little bit. Like that. I want it to be just a little smaller, so I'm going to type in 1.5 like that. Let's see, maybe a little bit bigger, so I'll do 1.6. 1.6. Okay, let's see, and we'll move the arrow down like that. That still seems a little too small, so I'm going to go, let's do 1.7. 1.7. Okay. Alright. We are going to shrink it down a little bit, so maybe 1.75. Let's try that. 1.75. Alright. Okay. I think that'll work. Okay, so now what we want to do is we want to make these green. So click on the solid color swatch and click green. There we go. Once you've selected them both, you can turn it green like so. Then I am going to, with them both selected, so make sure you've drawn the marquee out and they're both selected, you can go up here and you can click on the Union Group button in the upper right hand corner, like that. So now they're one. And I'm going to roughly line it up with the bottom of the eye. So I'm using the up arrow, and then I'm going to use the keyboard, and I'm going to move here and then type it out a little bit. And back to the front. Okay, way too big. It's okay. So I'm going to move the, let's see, yeah, way too big. So let's select the corner vertice, hold the shift key with your mouse and push in like that. Okay, let's see, how does that work? It's not bad. Yeah, it's almost there. His eyelid might be a little thicker than the one I did before, but let's try lining it up and see how it looks. So I'm going to move it up. And then I'm going to use the arrow key. Not bad. You can move it up a little bit higher. And maybe move it out a little bit like that. Yeah, that's a little better. Still a little big, so I'm just going to, again, hold the corner vertice here, hold the shift key at the same time, whoops, and push in, and then let's line it up again. So to the left, and like that. Okay, and I'm gonna raise it up a little bit. Yep. Okay, and then I'm going to see these little black dots. This allows you to push it in just on one side, like that, and like that. It's probably too much, so we can maybe move it down. Quite. Gonna undo it. So up here in the upper left corner you have the undo button, and you can go backwards, make changes. Okay, might be a little too small, so I'm just gonna click the corner, hold the shift key, and I'm gonna pull it out to make it just a little bit bigger. Now I'm going to line him up. Okay, so I'm going to switch down here the grid to 0.1, and it allows me to get a little more control.
Why? 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 You'll never catch me, crabs. Not when I shift into maximum overdrive. Hi-ya!
Okay, so it looks pretty good. I think the lip of the lid is too big, so I'm going to show you how to make adjustments to that. So we grouped it, so as long as you have it selected, you can go up here and you can click ungroup, and then what we can do is select it, and see, you get all these controls again. So I'm going to make the tube smaller. I'm going to go 1.6. Let's see, how does that look? Just move it up a little bit, like that. I'm going to go down to 1.5, like that. And then I am going to shrink down the bottom hemisphere a little bit by clicking the corner, holding the shift key, like that. Okay, and then I'll select that sphere and the torus, and then we'll just do a quick align. So align it here and here. There we go. Okay. Click away when you're done with the align. It goes away. It's still. So I'm going to just make the radius just a little bit smaller. So we'll go to 8.25. Oops, I typed that in wrong. 8.25, like that. And I'll shrink down the lid again. A lot of it's just kind of feel. Okay, and select them both. Align. Click these two center ones. There we go. And I'm going to just move it down just a little bit like that. Okay. Okay. And we can push it in just a little bit. There we go. And I like to do is I like to rotate them, have a little asymmetry in it. So I'm going to select the top eyelid lip and then the eyelid. I'm going to group it, and then I'm going to select the bent key, and I'm just going to go up here and just rotate it just a little bit like that. Do it again. Oops. Use the arrow key to move it over, and there we go. Okay, so we've got that done. Now let's make his mouth. Alright, so we want to make this shape right here. So we are going to go back up to the list and switch to basic shapes. And I believe it was this one. No, I think it was this one. So you're going to drag this on, and it'll take you into a new flat grid. And what you can do is you click down here, right? And you're going to draw out a shape. So click, then drag out, and then as you click again to create a point, a Bezier point, you drag out and you get these handles, which will help you make it round and curvy. Then you drag out again. I'm going to do that again, like so. I'm going to drag it out like so, and drag down. And then just a little one here. When you drag it out, hold that Bezier, it helps you make it curvy. And I'm gonna drag that out, and then you go back here and it'll actually seal it. Okay, so now we can go and select these dots, and if you double click, it'll put a Bezier there, so you can actually be able to select it and help make your curve stronger. So click on the dot, then you select the handle like so. We select this, And you just go around and try to roughly make the shape that I had. So this was down a bit, little sharp. Okay, just gotta make it a little more dramatic by pulling it down like this, so it's kind of like an upside down frown, but a little lopsided, like so. Alright, so roughly try to get this shape as best you can. This can be a lot of fun. You can do a lot of cool things with this. Okay, and then when you're done, oops, let me just, there we go. I think that'll work. I think this needs a little more curve to it. Oh, maybe move this over a little bit. Yeah, that's much better. Okay, that should work. So when you're done, you go over to the upper right hand corner, click Finish Sketch. Okay, and you get this shape. And what you do next, this is pretty cool. So we go over here to the left. I'm gonna raise it up. I'm gonna select the bent arrow. I'm gonna use the 45-degree notches, and then I'm gonna select the hole. So now it's a cutter. It's see-through. That means it'll cut a hole for you, and if you grab this little black notch, it'll actually extrude it out for you, right? And now we'll shrink it down because it's obviously way too big. So I'm going to grab the corner vertice, hold the shift key, and I'll push it in, and we'll move it up in front. And then I'm going to lock it up in a perspective view. I'm going to drag this up like so. Yeah, okay. And then you want to make sure it cuts into the body, so I'm going to use the arrow to make sure it goes in mostly. And I'm going to select the corner again and hold the shift key just to make it just a little bit bigger, maybe like that. Alright, and go back to the front, front, and then just kind of line it up as best as possible, like that. Like it to be a little more wide open, but it's not bad. Hold this, I'm just give it a little space from the eyeball. Could just drag this down just a little bit like that. Okay. Okay. So once you've done that, just make sure it cuts pretty far in to the body. So I think I can push that in a little further. Like that. Make sure it doesn't come out in the back. Okay. Alright, so you have the mouth all lined up. That's great, but we're not going to cut it yet. It looks like it can move over just a little bit. There we go. Okay, so what we also want to do is you want to make his body hollow. So this is a cool little trick because it's hard to see inside of it. So what we'll do is we'll select his body and we're going to make it see-through. Okay, and that helps you see like, oh, okay, his mouth could go even further if we wanted to, but that's not the main reason why we did that. We're going to select, his body should be still selected, and you can hit select duplicate again, and so now there's two of them there but the exact same size. So we're going to line up again with the perspective, and we're going to use, oh, that's weird, it should have, okay, so select the top and we'll just move it down. See, now you see a line, that's the inside one. So I'm just moving it down, and then I'm going to do the same with the bottom one, move it up a little bit like that, and then you so if you want to get the top white dot to show up down here, you have to like kind of adjust the rotate so you're looking slightly up or slightly down. It just pops around like that. So you can also select this little black dot here, and I'm going to switch back to, I'm going to switch to like 0.5 millimeters, so every time I click and move it, it'll move 0.5. Okay, I'm going to keep going a little more. There we go, that's good. So there, okay, and then we do the same with the front, like there we go. Do the same with the back. There we go. Okay. Now, then we're going to I'm going to select the outer one, turn it back to a solid, right? I'm going to select the mouthpiece, and I'm just going to use the arrow to move it out, like so. Okay, and then I'm going to select, draw a marquee. So if you draw it over, so it should select both of them, and we'll know in just a second. So I'm going to click Union Group. And then I'm going to move the mouth back in, like so. And I'm going to select, make sure the mouth is selected, the cutter. Select the body and Union Group, and there you go. So you got a hollow inside piece. Not bad. So you should have a mouth, and you have his body's been hollowed out, which makes it easier for 3D printing. And then now we can make his teeth. Okay, so right over here in our toolbox, this is the red cube. Now you could find this, you go under basic shapes and click on that. We're going to go down to shape generator. Okay, and then I'm going to click right here the magnifying glass and type cube. Click on that, and there you go. You find that there's the cube with the rounded edges. So click on that and bring it in, and then we're just going to basically flatten it out a bit. So I have these little chiclet teeth, as I call it. Chiclets is like a kind of a gum candy. So once you have it in there, I'm going to duplicate it. So click duplicate. I'm going to use the arrow key, slide it on over. Like so. I'm going to move this up, and then I'm going to turn it to white. Unless you want to make it slightly yellow, it means that Plankton likes to drink lots of coffee maybe. And I'm going to select the corner, and we're just going to shrink that down like so. Then I'm going to just move it up. I'm going to move it forward by using the arrow key again. Front again, and I'm going to slide it over like this. And there's this first tooth. So it's still too big, so I'm going to hit the F key. That's the frame, and that zooms you in to whatever you have selected. And I'm going to select the corner again, hold the shift key, and shrink his teeth down some more. Let's see, let's look at our reference. Yeah, it looks about right. So we'll just move that up into position. And since they're cartoon teeth, they look pretty much the same, so we can just make copies of this. Right? So I'm going to duplicate it again. Oh, no, sorry. Sometimes it does this weird thing. Alright, so click away, select the tooth again, click duplicate, and then you can use your arrow key and move it over, and you just want it enough so that apart that you can see this little space that you make with the tooth, like that. And that's because it's curved, or has these curved corners. Alright, so we want to fix it popping out. So now we're going to use the rotate tool. So I'm going to look down. There it is. And we're just going to rotate it just a little bit. Like that. Oh, a little more. So I want it to kind of go along, oops, the far one. There we go. Just to kind of go with the way his mouth is, and you do the same with the other one. Real easy. There we go. Just move that like that. And then I'm going to use the arrow key. Yeah. Like that. And then let's just duplicate that. So I'm going to duplicate that tooth. And I'm just going to slide it over like that. Oh no, it's coming out of his mouth, so we have to fix that. So I'm going to use the rotation and just rotate it like this to mimic the way our own teeth are. And then I'll use the arrow key like that and like that. Maybe a little more in. Actually, probably could rotate it a little like that. Yep. And then the arrow key. Nope, too much. Okay, I think that works. Yeah, that seems to work. And then do the same over here. Select this one, duplicate it, right? And then use the arrow key. And then I'm just going to rotate it this way. Oops. Like so. And then use the arrow key, bring it over. Like that. There. And then just bring it closer. Let's see. I'm going to switch it to 0.1, and then just, there we go. Oh, maybe a little closer. There. And then up a little bit. All right. Okay, now this is the cool part. This is how you save a lot of time. So we want to make his bottom teeth. We could do it individually, or you can select all these teeth, right? Like that. And then group them like that. And then duplicate it like that. And then just dun dun dun. Oh, almost. Okay, it still works. So let me slide it down, and then just move it in a bit with the arrow key. And then just move it a little bit to the left. And again, just use the arrow key just to tweak its position like that, and look at that. Not too shabby. You could even stretch his teeth out if you wanted to, like that, because it's a cartoon character. Okay. Oh, it's coming along. Alright, so the next part we're going to do is his eyebrow. So you should have put in a tube, the bent pipe that is, sorry, my mistake. And you want to do is copy these settings and then shrink it down quite a bit. So to pipe, leave the pipe shapes alone, and then just want to have the outer pipe at 4, wall thickness 0.1, arc diameter 20, bend angle 45, lead in length 8.05, lead out length 8. And then you might have to scale it down a bit, which is again corner vertice, hold the shift key and drag it in like that. And once you've done that, and you have it at the right shape and size, duplicate it. And then let's slide it over. So I'm going to line up and then use my arrow key. Yeah, it's a little slow. Okay. Use the arrow key again. Front, use the F key to frame in on it because it's selected. Use the bent arrow, and let's rotate it. Oops, 112.5. Okay, that works. All right, so now let's move it up, get it roughly in the position. So that way we can gauge if it's the proper size. Okay. I think, did I? Oh, I did wall thickness on this. It was 99 wall thickness. There we go. I did it backwards. So 99. So that basically makes it solid. Like that. Good. Let's change it to black. His eyebrow is black. I think that's it. Yep. Alright, now let's scale it down. So I'm going to grab the corner, hold the shift key, and push it down quite a bit, like so. I'm going to use the arrow key to get it into place. Like so. Let's move it up. Alright. Almost there. think I just made it a little bit smaller, because I think then I made copies, scrunched them together, and made it one piece, because there's 3 of them stacked on top. Okay. Alright, and then I click duplicate, and then just move it up like that. And then I make that just a little bit smaller, so I'm going to hit the F key and then just do the same thing, shift. Yep, and then again duplicate it. Ah, see, and it repeated it. Saw that I had a pattern. So then you can select all 3 of them, and this is cool. Then we can just squash them down like this. Yeah, pretty neat, huh? And you can stretch them out. So if you grab this little black dot here, you can stretch it out this way. You can stretch it out this way, like that, right? Yeah. So if we line it up perspective-wise, we want it, yeah, see, it reaches out to the edge of his head, the top of his head. So let's try to match that, like that, and like that. And let's go back to the front. Yeah, that looks pretty good. Could probably be squashed just a teeny bit. Okay, there we go. Now let's see. Yeah, that's about right. It's floating a little bit, but we can move that over, because if when I 3D print it, it's got to be on something, attached to something. Yeah, like that. Awesome. So now we have Plankton's eyebrow. So now he looks annoyed, right? I like it. Be doing that. I'm going to try this again. Duplicate. There we go. Okay. I'm going to rotate this 180 degrees, like so. And I'm going to select, and let's see, outer pipe width. I think it's 10. And then select this one again, 3. And this one again, that's 500. -15. Let's see. Bend angle, -15. Okay, I like that. Okay, I think that'll work. Now we're going to align the paraboloid. So select it, duplicate it, alright, move it up, let's rotate it around 180 degrees, alright, I'm gonna select this, select them both, and I'm gonna go over here to the align tool, and let's just align them here and here. Okay. And just going to, oh no, that's not good. So got to make sure I'm in the front perspective view. So wow, okay. Okay, use the arrow key. Well, the arrow key's not working. Might be a sign something's wrong, but I'm going to continue to soldier on here. And we'll use this key to lower it down like that. Okay, now I'm gonna try and match it up. So we'll just grab the corner vertice, hold the shift key. I'm gonna go to the top view. Again, keep going down. I think that's just about right. Let's see. Go to the top. Okay, so we got it lined up. So now I'm going to grab the top and stretch it out like that. Okay. So we have a nice little curved antenna. And I'm just going to select this and make this 99. So it's solid. So not carrying that hollow information in there, which would cause it maybe to affect the 3D print. Okay, so I've selected them both. I'm going to group them, and I'm going to change their color to green. All right, and then I'm going to move up like so. And I'm going to use the arrow key, which isn't working now. It's bizarre, but just going to put it roughly in the place. Okay, so let's, I think his antennae bend outward. So I'm going to go up and look real quick at my reference. Okay, so it's harder to see there. Yeah, it bends out from his head and a little back. Yeah, out and from the back. Okay, so yeah. All right, so the first thing we need to do is, before we do that part, while we have everything perfectly lined up, make our life easier, we shall let's make his little notches. So grab this cube, go to the line, I'm going to click duplicate like so. I'm going to drag it up, change the color, it's like a dark gray, and I'm going to move it roughly here and squash it down. And I think it's more like a rectangle, so I'll do that. Okay, just move it in like this. And I'm going to just move it out. And let's look at it from the front. And maybe, yeah, maybe leave it a little thick, because if I 3D print them, it won't print very well if they're too thin. So let's, so we have that blocked out. Going to, let's see, where does it start? Let's look at the reference again. They start pretty high up. Yeah, so let's just move them up on the high side. All right. So I'm just going to move this up like that. Yeah. And then actually I'm going to rotate the antennae so it's curving towards the back initially. So I'm going to go over and just do a quick 90 degrees. Yeah, like that. All right, now select this. Oh, that's right, that's not working too well. So there we go, like that. Okay, then I'll just duplicate it a couple of times. So I'm going to duplicate it, move it up like that, duplicate it again. See, it's picking up the pattern. Duplicate it again, yes. And I think that's 2, 3, yeah, it's 4. There's 4 of them in the original drawing. Yeah, that's how many they put there. So let's just leave that. Okay. Now we're going to select all of them, and we're going to group them like that. Oh, I wanted them to stay different colors. Darn. Alright, so we won't do that. Go back, just make sure they're all selected, and I think we can still rotate it like, oh, actually I want to have them all selected, and then corner shift select, push the vertex in and shrink them down like so. It's got to be even thinner than that, like that. Like that, I think. I might have to stretch this out a bit. Oh, I don't know if I wanted to do that with those selected, but that's fine. Okay. Then I'm going to go to the top, and I'm going to rotate this around. Yeah, probably 45 is good. And then from this side, I'm going to rotate it back. Maybe not that far. Maybe like that. Just a little bit. Just like 10 degrees. Okay. And then, oh, I need to do it in the front as well. So let's rotate that. There we go. Yeah, there we go, like that. Okay, and then just move it into position like that. And let's click on the front. Wow, that's actually pretty good. Cool. Now let's just make sure they're selected, and let's duplicate it and then mirror it. No, I don't want to mirror it that way. Why is it not? That's annoying. Alright, Control Z or the undo button. Alright, so let's just duplicate it. I think it's duplicated. And let's see, we should be able to just, yeah, there we go. And from the top, we'll just, where's the rotation? Ah, there it is. And we just rotate that around 180 degrees like that. Whoa, nope, that wasn't right. Yeah, 90 degrees, that's right. And then just move it over.
5 minutes later.
There we go, ladies and gentlemen. We have ourselves a plankton. Short and angry, trying to steal the secrets to the Krabby Patty. Okay. Well, I hope you all enjoyed this little trip down SpongeBob SquarePants Lane, and in celebration of the new movie coming out, and I hope you'll come back for more. So thank you so much, and please leave some comments, please send me some likes, and stay tuned. I might take this into a 3D printer and print it out, and I will show you that as well. All right, take care, and see you on the next one. Bye.